Hi, I'm Sarah Keenleyside and welcome to my home. Come on in. I'm Sarah Keenleyside. I'm an interior designer based out of Prince Edward County, Ontario, Canada. I've been an interior designer running my own design firm for 15 years. As a designer, my style is, there's not like a nice tiny little term that kind of wraps it up, but a lot of my clients usually come to me for my particular look, which is that marriage of old and new. So the first room I'll show you through is our family room. So this house is a 160-year-old farmhouse here in Prince Edward County, and we renovated it top to bottom. This room used to be a side porch, so we totally restructured the whole thing, insulated it, because as you can see, here in Canada, it gets very cold outside. So I wanted to paint it dark. This is where we watch movies. This is our kids. I've got 2 little boys. This is sort of the family room, playroom, a nice vintage hutch hides. A cool feature of this space that I really loved was the existing tongue and groove ceiling. So we kept that. And because this used to be the side porch, there is exposed brick on this wall. So I wanted to keep that too. So to accent that and to really sort of complement it, I worked with this nice blacky blue color that is just like a really beautiful way of celebrating the warm tones in the brick. And I always love a mix of mid-century modern and vintage in a house like this. So that's where you can see the mid-century modern style oversized sofa. And another really fun feature for this room is for these new windows, I opted for Roman blinds with blackout liner because when it's movie night, check this out. They all just drop at the push of a button, and you can start the movie on our TV that sort of looks like artwork when it's not in use, but when you want to turn it into a TV, you just turn it on. Where can I show you next? Let's go upstairs. So this is the primary bedroom, and there wasn't too much work that I had to do in this room. What I love about this house is that it has all the original trim, so like 5.5-inch thick, juicy trim around the windows and like 10-inch high baseboards up here, really high ceilings. So there was a lot to work with, but it's not a very big room, and it's got these 2 big, beautiful windows. Anchored that with my friend Christine Flynn's artwork that are very mid-century modern, which is my jam. Now, the complicated thing with an old house is that in the wintertime, we are on rads. So the radiator system is always located underneath the window, which means that when it comes to window coverings, it's a little bit complicated because you can't really close your drapes over the radiator. So to work with that, I did these beautiful drapery panels with blackout lining. This is a really good trick that a lot of people forget to do, the blackout lining. It's a pet peeve of mine as a designer when the fabric goes in front of the window and it completely changes the color and the look. So I love when you do a blackout or at least a room darkening liner behind, it keeps it a little bit more consistent. And then because I can't close the blinds, blackout blind rollers. For my youngest son's room, Louis, this is his bedroom and I absolutely love it. I think it is so much fun. So Louis has the smallest room in the house, but I made up for it and then some, I think, with this custom bunk bed. I wanted it to feel like a little bit of a fort, and then painting it out in this powder blue color, which is obviously my color schemes. I just think it's great. It's not overly juvenile. I want to design a space that can grow with my kids. This mural on the wall just reminds me of that storybook Where the Wild Things Are, which totally is my little son to a T. He is absolutely a wild thing. And so this mural on the one wall creates a great accent. And then I picked up on that great green color in this soft green linen. Again, blackout liner helps keep the drapery a little bit more consistent in its coloring. And then because I can't close them, I actually just did dummy panels here. I didn't have that much space. So a dummy panel is just when you don't have the full width of fabric to cover the window. never will, didn't need it, so wanted to save a little bit of money that way. And then, of course, blackout-blind roller shades. Then this is my son Jack's room. This is a nice big room. We upgraded him to a queen size bed, and it's actually more for visitors. So if visitors come, we can bump the kids into the bunk beds, and then we have an extra queen bed. So I had a lot of fun here with a lot of mid-century modern furniture. An old dresser that I actually just painted the perimeter of in this glossy white that just makes it look a little bit more fresh. I painted the ceiling black because I felt that this room lacked a little bit of personality compared to his brother's space. And then I took that black color and then just went with a linen black drapery over here. Very important to do the dark liner on the back of a darker fabric as well, because otherwise that just looks like a totally different color when it's in front of the window. I went with a bit of a thicker drapery here because the scale of the room is larger and I needed a little bit more width beside the window, just proportionately to make it make sense with the rest of the room. And then of course, blackout blinds. And this is our second floor washroom up here. I had a lot of fun with a simple hex tile on the ground. By putting that in this really fun pattern, it just instantly turns it into this floral oversized pattern. I went with a matchstick tile all over the rest of the walls, something that doesn't compete with it. And a real lucky thing in this bathroom is because we're actually across from a field, we don't need that much privacy, and it's really nice with a window that's this large to be able to let so much natural light into a bathroom. So what I've done here is just gone with a cafe curtain in this great off-white linen. So it provides privacy, but really from here up, you can see out, you can see the cars drive by, get all this great natural light. Starting out my design firm out here was a challenge at this point in my career. I mean, when you have run a design firm for 15 years out of Toronto, you know you've got like your seamstress, you've got your fabric supplier, you've got your millworker, you've got your upholsterer, and coming and reestablishing yourself in a new city 2 hours away, you don't have all of those suppliers. So one thing that I found was really challenging was getting fabric samples and finding a sewer that could fabricate custom draperies for me. And that was something that I was really excited to find 2 pages. As a designer, when you know what you're looking for, having the samples sent to you that fill out my library in my office, that I can select whatever kind of draperies that I need, custom sizes, like it just, showing up in the mail a handful of weeks later, like that made my life so much easier. Well, thanks for coming and checking out my spaces. I do have to say, it's very fun as a designer when you get to have the time and energy to put it towards your own space. I hope you like it, and I hope that maybe there is some inspiring ideas in there. And it's important to know, it doesn't always look this nice. I think it's very important for everyone to know that life happens and no one lives in a magazine. I was cleaning like crazy before you guys showed up, so.